All right, folks, welcome to this special edition of Roland Martin Unfiltered. Common is a native of Chicago. He, of course, is a rapper and an actor, but also he's a brother who cares deeply about social justice. I sat down with him in Los Angeles for an illuminating conversation. Here you go. Common, what's happening?
Peace, bro.
Good seeing you, baby.
Great to see you.
Good seeing
Great
you.
to see you.
So I get asked this. People say, you Roland, you've done radio, television, newspaper, magazine, internet. Which one do you like the best? And I said, well, each one does something different for me.
Yeah.
So for you, what does movies and television give you creatively, personally, that music doesn't?
Well, acting itself gives me an insight into my own humanity and who I am. Because taking on characters, you kind of have to examine yourself and find certain things about you. But then again, it also helps me to learn about other people, because I feel like, as you become this character, you start to walk in the shoes of that human being. And, and I try to dive as deep as possible into these characters. And through that experience, I feel like each time I do a character, I get more understanding of other people and I get more compassion. So it definitely brings me that. And I think, coming to hip hop is hip hop is a culture that started real this is street, this is what we do, this is masculine, this is black expression, black and Latino expression. So it's I felt like as an actor I could go to all these different places and try different things. And now I bring that to hip hop, meaning my live show, I bring theater aspects to it. But when you as an actor, you just gotta be free and you can't be afraid. You're not trying to fit in one lane. You just gotta be free. So I think that really helps me when it comes to my music.
Also, I would think that when it comes to acting, not only are you you having to be enveloped by it, it also allows for you to take chances to where you go, I wouldn't do that in real life.
Yeah.
But okay, cool. I can just roll with this thing now because it's the big screen and the small screen.
Yes, definitely. I mean, should always tell people, man, some of the things, I can't go out and shoot people in real life, man. I don't want to. But it's times I'm angry enough, I want to do something, but I can express it in movies, and everything is safe, everything is good. And just you try different things, characters that you try, you wouldn't walk around and do those things or wear those things, and like I said, it gives me that. When I see people now, I'm like, man, I kind of relate to them more, and I always was as a kid, I kind of thought that I liked people who were free and did their own thing, so now it just makes me be like, man, I'm free now.
I remember when Sam Jackson was critical of rappers who became actors. And a lot of people said, oh man, you're hating. But what I heard from Sam was, look, if you're going to do this thing, work on your craft.
Yeah.
Just like I would think if a young cat rolls up on you, man, I want to do you, you probably say, don't get hyped by cars and houses. If you don't work on your craft, then you can't do what I do.
Yeah. I mean, first of all, I respect what Sam said. I mean, initially I was like, what is he saying? Because
why he hating?
Yeah. Initially I was like, I wanted to know exactly what he said because I heard it from other people. But I came into acting as an actor. Though I do music, I was studying acting too. At a certain point in my career, I just said, man, I want to pursue acting because I loved films. I loved going to the theater. So it was like, man, I want to do this. And I felt passionate about it. But I think in any field you get in, you got to work on it. You want to work on it, especially if you want to have a career in it and be a great. And my thing was, okay, I'm starting off, I'm a baby in acting, but I feel like someday I will reach greatness. And I'm willing and I love working at it. So that's how, and people sometimes talk to me about, man, y'all rapper actors. And I'm like, man, you can't really classify like all of us in the same box. Everybody has their own individuality, their own story of why they acting or how much, like one of my favorite actors who also does music is Mos Def, and though he hasn't done films and we haven't seen him in something lately, man, that dude is incredible. I saw him on, he did theater with Jeffrey Wright and was incredible in movies. And my thing is when you have every person that does music and then acts is not, everyone ain't necessarily good. It just depends on if that person really does have the talent and they really respect the craft. So,
well, it was funny you say that because so I'm sitting here, I'm at home, and I'm flipping through the television, then, because I've heard you do voiceover for documentaries and stuff like that. So I'm flipping, and now I'm seeing you interview Serena. And this is me at home. Yeah, let me look at comments, interview skills. And because even that's different. You might know somebody, but being on camera and having to draw something out for the purpose of the audience, same thing. That's a different skill set.
Let me tell you, it truly is a skill, and I have a really a lot of respect for what you do and people that are as talented as you are in this field, to be able to talk and get conversations going with people and keep it natural, but still get what you need to get out of them. Everybody's, because you're dealing with a lot of different personalities. That interview I did with Serena was like, that was the final one, but I did like one with Mr. Harry Belafonte. I did one with Lorna Simpson. I did one with D. Ray McKeeson, who from Black Lives Matter. Man, it was like, and each person is, you're trying to figure out, okay, like, I'm like, wait, I'm not a journalist. But you have to, one thing I understood was like, okay, I got to stay present. As much as I really, certain things I know I want to ask, I'm like, I got to stay present. So I just did my best to do that. Because that, in all truth, that's important as an actor to stay present. Because no matter all the preparation you bring to the table, you can't just like, when you get in the scene, you got to be in the scene. Like, you got to be alive in the scene.
Right.
You can't like, I rehearsed it this way. Because what if the actor you acting with is doing something different?
Oh, yeah. Oh, no. There have been times when the person you're interviewing, they had a bad day.
Yeah.
They got an attitude. They don't feel like talking. They're tired. Yeah. And at the end of the day, you sitting here going, look, I got to get this thing done. So I got to figure out how I can connect with them. So it might make them laugh. It might rib them.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna ask you. What do you do on the person when they got a bad day?
That's where laughter comes in.
Yeah,
that's where laughter comes in. So it's always figuring out something, whether it's something they've done, whether it's a particular role or whatever. Because there's some people who are just so serious, and then they'll just they'll take it. And in fact, I remember this was a flip side. I remember interviewing, I was working the Houston Defender. I was a managing editor. And Loretta Devine was from Houston, so she was in town. And so this was when the NAACP had a boycott of the Oscars. Okay. And what was a trip was she was critical of the NAACP, saying, well, when they leave, we still going to be, it's going to be rough for us. And so that interview flipped. And I started hitting with some political questions. And she goes, man, I shouldn't have taken that cold medicine before this interview. This not a regular Hollywood interview. And my deal was, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm not like some of these entertainment journalists.
Yeah.
I'm on a different side. Yeah. And I had a sports dude who, let's just say he was tripping. And he really felt he was bigger than he was. Yeah. I said, bro, let me explain something to you. I've interviewed U.S. presidents. They can blow up countries. You bounce a ball.
Yeah, for real.
I said, blow up country, bounce a ball.
Sometimes you got to break it down.
So yeah, I mean, because and then I've cussed a couple of people out off the record. Yeah, and they were like, "This brother ain't playing." Yeah, because sometimes you really have to do that to let folks know, don't trip.
Yeah, they need to know you're a person, man. Sometimes
no. Oh, that's what the bruh came out.
Yeah, for real, huh? The real brother come out.
It's kind of like, okay, he different. Like this brother different. So I mean, sometimes you got to go there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I feel like it's times where I have to do that with just people in general, you gotta just say, hey man, I'm a person, man.
Yep.
Like, you know, don't it's some respect that needs to be given here. Like,
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, because people watch you, they hear you, and the deal is, oh, that's my boy. That's my guy. I know him. I love him. But there are boundaries,
Yeah.
and so then what happens now in this world of social media? Oh, he was arrogant. He was upset, and I don't think the general public really understands when you getting that all day,
yeah,
every day.
yeah.
So how do you ensure that you're respectful?
That's what I mean. Okay, it's two things that I think that two words that I would say I do my best to be active in this instance. I try to use gratitude, you know, and I stay like grateful, because at the end of the day, it is somebody coming up, and even if they just want their picture for Instagram or blah blah blah, they still somehow have some type of reverence for you or
Right.
respect.
And that picture means something.
Right, it means something.
Because I've met some people that say, Roland, you took a picture of my 80-year-old mother.
Yeah.
And man, she printed that thing out. It's on her wall.
Yeah.
And I remind other people that a lot of these folks, they don't meet celebrities a lot. That means something.
It means something. You know, and you know that that's one of the things that sits with me, is that you're giving somebody something good. You know, it's like spreading love, just speaking,
Right.
like speaking to someone. And the other thing I do my best to do is just be respectful.
Right.
Like, if I'm in the middle of something, I say, hold on one second, let me do this. Or if I can't do, but I just make sure I acknowledge them as a human being.
Absolutely.
And be respectful. So
Absolutely.
yeah.
And have you also pulled the coattails of some other cats who said, bro, that's how you eat?
Yeah. Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I was rolling with we were going to this event in Philadelphia, and it was like a star, this kid that was like the teenage girls. I mean, it was girls crying and like, I was like, it was
You're
a girl that I
who
banned.
cried for me?
Yeah, I don't get nobody crying for me, not in that way. But it was like the girls was knocking on the van and blah blah blah, and they was hollering out the person's dog's name, and then he ain't even like wave at him. I was like, bro, man, just get him like a little high, man. Just give him some love. That's all they doing is giving you love. You ain't gotta, and sometimes I don't try to preach to people, or but that in that instance, I felt like I had enough of a relationship with him too, to be like, and I ain't know him super good, but I still was like, yo, man, go ahead and acknowledge, because them girls was over there knocking on the van.
But that's important, because what that young brother has to understand is, again, that's your fan base.
Yeah.
And see, when you turn on them, it's like first of all, an actor will go unnamed, had some choice words about black women in Ebony magazine.
Really?
Sisters were like, really? Let's just say he's still recovering. I mean, in this business,
yeah,
black women will drive it. That's the last group that you want to tick off.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to get the sisters mad. You don't want to do it. But I mean, I think as somebody in the public eye, it's like it's no reason to disrespect the fans. Like, what's the purpose? Like, I mean, it's easier to be nice than it is to be an asshole, to be honest. Like, that's just what it is. So I respect when whomever, a public figure, doesn't have time to do things, but as long as they respectful,
right? Absolutely.
Then I'm cool with it.
I want to share a message from one of our partners, folks. As we transition into the holiday season, this is the time when people are started thinking about giving and also sharing. And sometimes the best gift is when you actually present an opportunity to yourself. Give yourself your own gift. That's why our friends at Transatlantic Real Estate have created an investment opportunity for the everyday investor involving legal marijuana and crowdfunding. Now, we all know that legal marijuana has created one of the fastest growing industries in the country, no pun intended. Also know that crowdfunding makes it easy to be an early investor of an opportunity, but it gets even better. What Transatlantic is doing is different. And that is their business model is essentially buying the land that supports marijuana grow operations and leasing it to licensed, high-paying tenants. Now, what that means is you will be a landlord of a licensed marijuana farm in a high-growth market. Now, they're accepting investments for little as $300 up to $10,000 before the company goes public. Now, here's what's important. You must complete and confirm your application to participate. Again, complete your application and confirm your application to participate. Now, you can spend all your holiday money on gifts, but what if you get a return on your investment? You could also could consider making an investment for somebody else, and that could be their gift. That's a hell of a holiday gift. Now, to get started, go to marijuanastock.org, marijuanastock.org, for you to get into the game. And so we certainly want you to do so. The last year has been a straight whirlwind for you. When I talked to John Legend, he talked about just what the whole experience was like with Glory.
Yeah.
But one thing that in the interview that he said was, I told him, I said, I bet you real grateful you answered Common's phone call. I said, because, some folk you call and they like, okay, I'm busy. I'm going to get back with him next week. I said, I bet you real happy you answered that phone. He's like, yeah. I said, so I bet he called now. You're like, okay, it might be another Oscar didn't call, so let me go.
Yeah, man. I mean, let me say, I'm happy he answered the call too, man. Like, that was, and John and I got a real good, like, brotherhood and bond. And it's like, not that we talk every day or anything, but it's just like a mutual respect, and we could talk about different aspects of life. But we musically have done a lot of things together. Glory was like, that's God, man. That's God just saying, because I did, like, at that moment, just say, let me call John. Like, because I was trying to figure the things out, I said, let me call John. And he definitely responded. Though he was on tour, he was like, he sent his idea back in like a day or two, and I was like, oh man, this is something special. I remember like receiving that. I was actually headed to my father's memorial, and I had the music, and I was like, man, it was kind of hitting me in different ways, because it was, and just, that experience, it made me understand that, like, okay, the things that I want in my, career and life, those that are most purposeful are the ones that I'm gonna shine the most with. You know what I'm saying? When I'm in alignment with what I'm supposed to be doing, that's when it really shines. And like I said, that was just God at work, and us being like, okay, we here, we gonna be obedient. We were present too. Like I can remember just like, for that period, I wasn't drinking too much. I just was like, let me just be present and like appreciate. I enjoyed some of the festive things.
Right.
It was like, let me just like appreciate each moment that we have, and like stepping on this Oscar stage to perform, the rehearsal. And even though it was a lot of work, because I saw John recently, and I was like, because he's on a circuit again with La La Land, just going out there and doing. And I was like, is it the same? He's like, man, it's the same thing. I was like, it's a good same thing.
Right.
And that's the one thing I know is no matter how tired you can become, man, it's like when you think about what we do, and then that you got a certain amount, and just remember the gratitude. You like, because man, we've all been through days where it's just like, you ain't getting those calls to come do things. You're not getting the opportunity to be in this film or that, or score something. So, man, that gratitude goes a long way.
How do you explain it to people about the importance of waiting?
Waiting?
Because that's for a lot of people, that's hard. There are people who, so what happens is, I use the example all the time with different people. People say, oh, Bishop T.D. Jakes, the Palace House, and 30,000 members, and he's preaching to a million folks in Africa and breaking records. I said, but y'all don't want to talk about when he was digging ditches in West Virginia.
Yeah.
So you don't want to talk about when his wife, they were on food stamps to feed their family. I said, you can't talk about the high or where someone is now until you understand what they've gone through.
Yes.
And so for you, as people say, oh, Common, the Oscar and the Image Award, and you've won this and Grammy, all sort of stuff, do you also have to remind folks that, no, you had to wait on some stuff?
Oh man, I definitely like I look at myself as a late bloomer in a way because like my first record came out in '92, right? The people that now know of me, I didn't come out and like explode on the scene. It was like an underground hip hop artist from Chicago. They gradually just I feel like I've been climbing up a mountain and still climbing, you know. But I actually enjoy that. I value it because I value the things that I learn and the characteristics that come with it. Like the journey gives me a lot, you know. So I do talk to artists and people and say, man, you know, it's gonna come for you, and it happens at the right time. Because even as I talk about as I talk about glory, when we talked about that, I always was like, man, God, thank you, because this was the right time. Like I knew what I wanted to say. I was up there for what I wanted to represent, and you know, early on, it's hard to get that grasp on that because I thought when I released my first record, I'm gonna be a star. I'm gonna be as like Biggie or like you know all these artists that's big, and it wasn't that. And I never like was like I'm not going to be that. I always kept hoping my dreams there. But of course, initially you want it right then and right then and now, like right then and at that time, you like I want it now. But now it's like I still battle with patience sometimes, you know. But
Me too.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
Man, come on, really?
Exactly. But now I understand. Like, I'll go through that moment and it kind of falls off me quicker. It's like, okay, I didn't get that role. All right, cool. First, I'm disappointed, and then I'm like, all right, that one wasn't for me. It's for that person. I got to keep it moving.
Speaking of waiting, you had an interesting dilemma when it came to your first movie, because something else major was happening and you had to pick.
Oh yeah, you knew that story, huh? Yeah, you knew that story.
Well,
huh,
we talked
bro?
about it at American Black Film Festival.
Yes. Okay, so yeah, for my first film, Smoking Aces, it was at the time I was slated to tour with Kanye, and man, I had been studying acting, as I said, and I wasn't getting any callbacks yet. I had to get better at the auditioning process. So Smoking Aces was the first callback I got. So I'm already like, oh man. But then, I remember flying. I was flying from France. I flew in to do my second audition. I went straight from the airport. Boom, ready. I did my second audition and rehearsed, and I was like, and about a week later, I got a call from the director saying, man, we want you for this film.
You probably just lost it.
I lost it, man. I was teared up. I was jumping up and down, and because I was in a hotel room. We were out in Puerto Rico for this DJ festival. It was me, Kanye, and a couple other artists. And I remember hopping up and down on the bed. I called my mother like, Mom, I'm gonna be in a movie. I got the movie, and then man, after that joy, I just had to take it in because I was like, wait, I'm slated to be on tour with Kanye, and I was like, man, this is my dream. I got to go for it, and I had to, man. I took in all that joy, and then I went over to Kanye's hotel room and said, man, I got offered a movie, man. I might not be able to do this tour, and he was like, man, go do it, man. That's your dream. Go do it.
Now, were you afraid of his response? Because, I mean, it was already announced.
It was announced. I was more kind of like feeling like I was letting a friend down. Like, I like sticking to my word.
Right. Loyalty matters.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, how's he going to feel about that? Just because this man just produced my wait, that was the second album he had produced for me. So we was like, no, we were working on the second album. But anyway, it was like, man, he's done so much for me. Like, if I leave this tour, are you gonna feel like I'm taking away from what we building? But he was that just showed me a lot about our friendship because he was like, man, that's your dream, go get it. And, I went and got it. Shoot.
You were like, "Ooh, I'm so glad he was cool about that."
Man, I was definitely and I think at the time the promotional company was like they definitely wasn't happy with it because they selling
So tickets.
yeah, they selling tickets and it's like
But for you, a dream is a dream.
a dream. Put it this way, I've sacrificed a lot, some things I think we all have to pursue our dreams. Like I think certain times I'm like, man, I missed out on certain things with my family, to be honest, just to build a foundation, so that things could be taken care of. But somebody said something to me wise. Recently I heard somebody say something. It's just as important, you know, to as much as it's important to be able to take care of your family, spending time with them is even more valuable. So I kind of understood that now. When you're a young dreamer, you're like, look, I gotta get it. I gotta get it. I gotta get there. So I'm grateful at this point that it's like, okay, I can go for continuing to pursue my dreams, but I can make sure that I get time with my family, making sure my daughter is great and my grandmother is great, and go see them and enjoy that time.
Even with all of the movies and the Oscar and the other awards, 2016, you dropped your 11th album. And what literally when I saw the title, I said, I got to ask him this question. You called it Black America Again.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
What,
again?
Well, it started with a thought like Sandra Bland, a friend of mine had a song about Sandra Bland, and as she was singing it, I was thinking about Sandra Bland's family and like how we we call these names out, but their lives are gone physically, and it's like it just hit me in a way like, and I started to think about how it had happened with so many Black people in America, like their lives just being taken like for no reason, and it went back to days of slavery, to Jim Crow days, to just modern days of people names we don't know who've just been either shot by police, killed, accused of something because they're Black, So I was like, that thought came and I started writing the song, the title Black America Again, because it was a repeated cycle of dehumanization for Black people, of marginalizing us. So I was like, Black America again, this happens, it keeps happening again. But then as I was writing it and as music goes and art goes, it started to develop a new meaning too. I started to like, as I was writing the verse, I was talking about things that happened, but by the time I got to the end of it, I was like, man, we're gonna write a new story. So it became Black America Again. This is our new story. We're gonna tell you the new story because we've been doing great things and we've been these loving people, but it's not always put out there. It's not always highlighted. And even within our own communities of just us writing a new story and a new narrative for us in the way we can view each other and see each other. Well, of course, there's a lot of Black people that are doing it and we love each other. But then for those that may be in a place where they don't look at each other and we see love, then I was saying, let's write that new story.
You mentioned Sandra Bland, and as you were talking, and we were talking earlier about when you meet fans.
Yeah.
They had a Black Women's Expo in Chicago, and I met her.
You met Sandra Bland?
And what happened was, after she dies, her sister post a photo that she and I took. And she said, and as I was sitting here thinking about it, I then remembered, because she was a tall woman, and I then remembered when we took that photo.
Really?
And when I met her mother, this would just almost wipe me out. Her mom said, he said, my daughter always said she was going to do your show one day. And she said, and through this is how she got on your show. And her mom was telling me this story, and literally, tears. I started welling up. And her mom said that when she took that photo, she came back. She was like so excited. Oh my God, I met Roland Martin. I just took a picture and everything. And she asked me. I said no, and I did remember.
Yeah.
Because again, you remember all kinds of details. And I remember she was a tall sister. Then when I saw the photo, I went, no, I remember the expo. I remember the whole, and I remember that photo.
Man, that's deep. That she said she was gonna be on your show,
and she was.
I actually just got an opportunity to talk to her sister. Her sister reached out and just let me know that she was thankful that I say her name in my song, and I was like, yeah, I'm calling that name out because, like, I think all those individuals, they can't just die in vain. We can't just like act like that life didn't matter. It did. And
just like Jimmy Lee Jackson.
Yeah.
In Selma.
Yes.
Folks who are dying today.
Yeah.
They matter.
That's it. They matter. And that's Black America again. You can go back to Selma days, Jimmy Lee Jackson. And even when when I was watching Straight Outta Compton and saw that Rodney King tape, they flashback, I was like, man, that was 93. And we see what's going on in 2016, 2015. I mean pretty much every year since we've been here in America, it's been that process.
I read a number of different pieces, and they said on this album, you were defiant, you were angry, you were fiery.
Yeah.
What is happening in your city of Chicago also touches you in a different way as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'm concerned about it. I'm trying to figure out ways to heal that situation with all the violence. Like young people just out there like without hope. And I'm daily like making moves, to connect with people, because it's not like just like I have all the solutions. And a lot of people on the ground in Chicago and have been doing work. So I'm like literally like as we speak, like connecting with people and saying, what can we do now?
But that's the piece I don't think people understand about what is happening. Yeah. Look, I lived there 6 years, ran the Chicago Defender, interviewed many of those people. When you say don't have hope, when I hear Bill O'Reilly and Sean Hannity and Megyn Kelly, and I hear these conservative talk show hosts, when you see Trump, saying stuff, tweeting stuff, which first of all, he built a tower there. So I'm going, you should have got off your behind and being aware of what's happening. I don't think people understand economically the devastation that exists. So when you say no hope, they go, oh, why is there no hope? They don't understand what it looks like.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'll tell you this. I've been to some countries that like are poor, and like Haiti is, I've been to like, and it's times when I'm riding through Chicago and I'm like, man, this thing it look like it's desolate. It's like it's depressing, and it's because people don't have. It's not a lot of economics there. It's not a lot of economics like as far as job opportunities and also just like programs that like some of the hope that came in within our neighborhoods was like, man, my stepfather was a plumber. He had a job. He worked it's a pride in a person being able to work a job, come home and feed their family, and you know, and I had images. Though I had my friends, we hang around and did hang around gangs to a certain degree. Well, not that we did, but I still had images of good black men that were successful and doing things and working and taking care of their families. And I think the kids have it. I mean, it's cloudy for them to see that. It's they don't get it as much, and they don't have, as much like of the village being like, hey, I'm gonna take care of you. But it's the job. I mean, I really think jobs will help. I see, because a lot of the people I talk to, they like, man, we don't want to be out here on these streets. You know what I'm saying? But we gotta eat too. So
And that's the thing that, so again, when Trump said, I'm going to send the feds in, and when other people are talking, Reverend Jackson talks about this. He says, look, don't have a law enforcement conversation. If you're going to bring in law enforcement, fine, but you better bring in the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development.
Yeah.
You better bring in the Secretary of Commerce.
Yes.
You better bring in the Secretary of the Treasury. You better bring in the Secretary of Health and Human Services, because that's how you deal with crime issue, whether it's Chicago or Baltimore.
Yeah.
It's all aspects of somebody's life.
All aspects of the social, sphere, point blank, like from that economic development perspective to mental health. Like, that's something we don't talk about. That, man, if you're 11 years old and you seen your buddy get killed, or so you had an older brother, or you hearing gunshots, or your mom has been on drugs.
That is traumatic. I mean,
traumatic.
You got black kids in Chicago who literally, I think one of the classrooms I had visited, I mean, you asked that question. 2/3, almost the entire classroom goes up, where they've had to experience multiple deaths by 10, 12, 13. I don't care who you are.
Yeah,
that is traumatic.
Yes, and that's why, when people come back from war, they should have some type of mental support. Kids, people in Chicago and these areas, like you said, whether it's Baltimore, we need mental support, health. That's part of healthcare to me. Instead of being okay, I'm gonna build these prisons, instead of putting money into the prison system, then, man, why don't we just put some money into helping out and developing some mental care for people in the city?
Does it also greatly bother you when people say we should support the police, we should support law enforcement, which we understand, and look, I've never met anybody who said, "Oh, I can't stand all police."
Right.
People also have to understand what is unique about your city. We're dealing with decades of mistrust.
Yeah.
And we're not dealing with a police department and its culture that has always been about love and respect. We can go back to Fred Hampton, Mark Clark, and take the thing all the way up to John Burge.
Yeah.
Then, of course, all the cops who were hiding evidence in Laquan McDonald.
Yeah,
if that video does not come out, that officer is still on the job.
Yeah. I mean, look, anybody to generalize and say all police are bad it just doesn't make sense. There's no all in life, all black people are this, all Latino, no. But Chicago has the history with the police that have been I've heard stories about them taking black people and just going to just beat them, and and that's stories, but it's true.
Well, first of all, the Department of Justice just went in and did all these various interviews, and they talked about cops calling black folks the N-word, and they have cops who said, yeah, we did those things. When you talk about cops shaking down drug dealers, taking money, taking property, and other residents saying, well, we don't know, we can't call the cops if you got gang activity because we don't know if they in bed with the gangs.
Yeah. That's part of what our police system and department has going on with them. So you're right, just for the people to trust them, it's gotta, like any relationship, you got to rebuild the trust, and we can
It's
go
two-way
through each
street.
decades. It's
Two-way
two-way,
street.
two-way.
When you look at protests today, when you look at, again, coming out of 8 years of President Barack Obama, you often visited the White House, performed there, even caught a lot of heat from conservatives in doing so, but you never gave in.
Yeah.
But how does it make you feel though? I'm thinking about Black America again. And then I'm looking at this fierce reaction, the Women's March, the refugee ban, combating Senator Jeff Sessions to be Attorney General, where people are saying a lot of people slept on what happened. Trump gets elected. Now you have folks who are saying, "Bent now to more action."
Yeah, I mean, I think the actual protest is a healthy action in itself. But then we want to connect that with policy changes, and making sure like legally that we can keep these things moving in the right direction. And I mean, for me, I'm doing my best to become more politically educated, because it's different laws that exist. But I do recognize more and more that like the state and local people have impacts.
That's right.
So I need to identify within the communities that I live in, and I encourage people to be like, man, I'm gonna hold my state and local people accountable, and also have people that I know run, or people that I support.
Yeah,
people.
your guy Ron Fest ran for alderman in Chicago.
Yes.
I was like, what is he doing? He said, I'm a citizen.
Yeah, he's a citizen, and he cared about the people of Chicago, and he made an effort. I mean, for me, I want to see politicians that I can trust, and that I do believe in, and I know has the people's best interests at heart.
You're sitting across, so let's say you have a meeting. Common has a meeting with Trump, Governor Bruce Rauner, Mayor Rahm Emanuel. You got the mayor of Chicago, the governor of Illinois, the president of the United States. What are you telling them?
I probably naturally would talk more to Rahm and the governor, because I don't really know. I don't feel that like Donald Trump's like intention is to really correct like the neighborhoods of Chicago in a way. Because if so, I think he would have made an effort to do it before, like at some point. And I don't know if that's in his history. Maybe,
It's not.
Right, exactly.
It's not.
Right. So I mean, yeah, you're right. I know it's not in this history. So with that being said, I'm at the point now where it's like I'm not going to be talking to just someone who I don't. You've shown me that you're not really for the people in the inner cities and the poor people, the middle class people. So I would talk to Rahm and the governor and say, man, what can we do to get more jobs in these communities? What can we do to like hold some of the businesses accountable that are in Chicago that are doing things? What kind of job training programs can we have? And what can we do for like kids that have dropped out of school? What kind of programs can we get for them that can transition them to get back into school? And like, what can we do for people that have come out of jail and may have, committed a crime, even if it was a violent crime? How can we help get them back into society with jobs? Like, let's put the resources, let's hold some of these businesses that we are supporting accountable, and like have them employ people within the neighborhoods. Yeah, that would be some of the stuff I would say to them.
So that's your challenge to them. What is your challenge to Black America?
To Black America, my challenge is, I would say my first challenge is to remember God is on our side, right? So, like, to instill spirituality into all our movement, meaning whether it's the march or whether it's waking up in the morning and you saying your grace with your family, just making sure we keep God in the forefront and first. I would say, remember that love gonna prevail over everything. So if we can, in the midst of like being in some of the most difficult situations, which I know is tough, I would say, look, I'm with you. I know that it's tough, and but try to be as loving as possible, be as loving to each other as possible, and that means like forgiving sometimes, because right now, like when I look at some of the violence that's going on, it's just when I hear the young people talk, they like, man, I had to get him before he got me, or he did something to this person. So that would be another thing I would subscribe, and then I would just say, man, do our best to empower ourselves. Like, I know it's tough in our situations, but we got to put our minds and energy and hearts to empowering each other. And I would say, and I'm saying that to the Black America, I'm saying it to me too. Like saying I got to live up to that also.
We've talked to you. You've done movies. You've done music. You've done all these things. Is there something that you really want to do that you haven't done yet?
Well, I mean, it's still revolving around the arts. Is doing a play. I would like to do theater at some point, and I want to do. You know, I'm producing some television and films. So I want to, you know, those things. I want those things as they come into fruition. I'm looking forward to that. But I want to lead in some major films. But and two, I want to like open up some schools in different places. Like,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
What, charter schools?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm a huge school choice supporter. I'm a firm believer. If we can control our own education, that's the game. So, because Jalen Rose has won in Detroit. Marvin Sapp has won as well. A number of brothers and sisters have actually opened their own.
Oh man, I didn't know.
We got to talk about that.
Yeah, we got to talk. Definitely.
Okay, we can talk about that.
Yes, sir.
All right, so I got two more questions. I'm ending with this here. So these are somewhat fun, challenging. Okay, so anytime I talk to Eddie Levert, the OJs, or I talk to Cats with the Temptations, what I always loved is that when they went on the Chitlin circuit, all these groups performed.
Yeah.
And one group made another group better.
Yeah.
Because they just brought it out. A lot of cats today don't like the level of competition. So if Common could do a battle with somebody on stage, you and them, who would you love to battle?
Man, I would love to battle. Let me see, who would I love to battle? Battle on stage.
Somebody who would
raise the stakes,
and they would bring something out of you.
Well, I would, you know what?
Challenge you in a way.
You know what? I would say Kanye, just because he got so many hits and he's a good performer that I would have to dig deep to get the crowd to go, you know, to the level that he can get the crowd to go. So I would say him, because that would make me. I would have to dig deep. Man.
Okay. So let's go on the acting side. Let's say there's an ensemble movie, and you get to pick 4 greats today who you would love to act with.
Yeah.
Who are those 4?
Yeah. I would want to act with Viola Davis. With I love Leonardo DiCaprio. I probably would want to. I would want to do something actually with Denzel. Even though I had the opportunity to do something with him, but I would like to do something bigger. And my 4th person would be, I love Kate Winslet too.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good balance. That's 2 men, 2 women, 2 black folk, 2 white folk. It's good.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, Common, it's always a pleasure, man.
Yeah, thanks.
That was good chatting with you.
Great to see you, brother.
Likewise, brother. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks to Common for that conversation. I certainly hope you enjoyed it on this Thanksgiving. And folks, please have a great time with your family and your friends. For all of us at Roland Martin Unfiltered, thank you so very much. Be sure to support us by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com and joining our fan club, Bring the Funk, and joining our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. All right, y'all take care. Have a good one. Holla!